igniting the spark. The dream of blockchain has always been bigger than money. From the beginning, visionaries saw a future where entire systems, payments, assets, data, identity, would all flow seamlessly across digital rails. But as the years passed, one truth became clear. Many of the most important networks weren't designed to handle that dream. XRP, for all its speed and efficiency, lacked smart contracts. Litecoin and Dogecoin, despite massive followings, were payment chains without programmability. Even Bitcoin itself was too rigid to support the next wave of utility. And so the question lingered. How could these networks, critical to adoption, be brought into the new world of decentralized finance, NFTs, and tokenization? The answer came in the form of FLR. FLR was not built to be just another blockchain fighting for attention. It was built to be a bridge, a network designed from the ground up to unlock smart contracts for non-smart contract chains, and to bring data from the outside world directly onto blockchain with unprecedented security. In doing so, FLR positioned itself not just as another competitor in the crypto space, but as an enabler of the Internet of Value. At its core lies the F-asset system. This allows tokens like XRP, Litecoin, and Dogecoin to be represented on FLR as fully functional assets, capable of interacting with smart contracts. Suddenly, XRP isn't just a bridge currency, it's programmable money, able to participate in DeFi, power NFT marketplaces, and integrate into applications across ecosystems. The same applies to other major assets that had previously been locked out of the smart contract revolution. But FLR's ambition doesn't stop there. Through its state connector and native time series Oracle, FLR provides secure access to real-world data. Prices, events, and even off-chain transactions can be brought on-chain with high integrity. This solves one of blockchain's biggest challenges, the Oracle problem. Without reliable data, smart contracts are useless. With FLR, they become unstoppable. What makes FLR unique is its role in the larger ecosystem. XRP may serve as the liquidity bridge for global payments. Stellar may empower retail and NGOs. XDC may digitize trade finance. Quant may act as the operating system connecting them all. But FLR? FLR is the spark. The technology that lights up programmability, connects external data, and makes these networks usable in the next generation of applications. For XRP holders, this is transformative. For years, critics dismissed XRP as limited, fast, and cheap. Yes, but without smart contracts, it risked being sidelined in a world driven by programmable assets. FLR changes that. By giving XRP smart contract capabilities, it ensures Ripple's ecosystem can compete head-to-head with Ethereum, Solana, and any other chain in DeFi and tokenization. And for the broader crypto world, FLR represents something even bigger, a blueprint for interoperability that doesn't just connect blockchains but also connects blockchains to data. Because in the digital economy, money alone is not enough. Systems need information. Contracts need triggers. Applications need real-world input. Without data, the Internet of Value cannot function. This is the story of FLR, a network built not to replace but to ignite, not to overshadow but to empower. It is the blockchain designed to give life to assets that were once silent, to bring data where there was none, and to make the dream of a fully connected, tokenized world possible. Welcome to FLR, igniting smart contracts for the Internet of Value. Part 1. The birth of FLR. Every blockchain begins with a problem. Bitcoin wanted to free money from governments. Ethereum wanted to make code programmable. XRP wanted to bridge banks across borders. But what about the massive networks that had value, liquidity, adoption, and recognition, but lacked the power of smart contracts? This was the problem FLR set out to solve. Founded by Hugo Fillion, Sean Rowan, and Dr. Nairi Usher, FLR was born from the realization that some of the world's most important digital assets were locked into narrow roles. XRP was fast and efficient for payments, but it couldn't host decentralized applications. Litecoin was a battle-tested store of value, but it couldn't plug into DeFi. Dogecoin had a vibrant community and adoption, but no way to expand its utility beyond payments. Even Bitcoin, the original, was largely stuck in its role as digital gold. The FLR team asked a radical question. What if these assets could be given smart contract capabilities without changing their underlying code? The answer was the F-asset system. With F-assets, tokens like XRP, LTC, DOGE, and even BTC can be represented on the FLR blockchain as wrapped versions of themselves. Once on FLR, they gain full smart contract functionality. They can be staked, used in DeFi protocols, integrated into decentralized applications, and even power NFT marketplaces. For the first time, non-smart contract chains could participate fully in the programmable economy. For XRP, this was especially significant. Ripple had spent years positioning XRP as the bridge asset for global payments, but its lack of smart contract support left it vulnerable to critics who argued it could never compete with programmable blockchains like Ethereum or Solana. FLR changed that equation. With FLR, XRP became more than a settlement tool. It became programmable money, capable of powering a new wave of financial applications. But the vision for FLR went further. The founders understood that programmability alone wasn't enough. Smart contracts are only as powerful as the data they can access. Ethereum and other blockchains had already struggled with this, relying on external oracles like Chainlink to bring in off-chain information. But oracles raise problems of trust, accuracy, and security. If blockchain was going to run the world's financial system, it needed a better solution. That's why FLR built not just the F-asset system, but also its state connector and native time series oracle. Together, these tools were designed to securely pull data from other chains and even real-world systems into FLR's smart contracts. Where other blockchains had to trust third parties for data, FLR could verify it natively, reducing risk and increasing trust. The birth of FLR wasn't about hype or imitation. It wasn't trying to be another Ethereum or Solana. It was about filling a gap, unlocking the potential of existing assets and making them usable in the broader decentralized economy. For XRP holders, this marked a turning point. For years, XRP had been framed narrowly, useful for banks, efficient for payments, but limited in scope. With FLR, that narrative changed. Suddenly, XRP could compete in DeFi. It could power lending protocols, automated market makers, and even gaming ecosystems. It was no longer a one-dimensional asset. It was part of a programmable universe. And for the crypto industry, FLR offered something else, a bridge between communities. Bitcoin maximalists, XRP enthusiasts, Dogecoin fans, all could see their assets come alive on FLR without abandoning their original chains. It was a unifier, not a divider. The birth of FLR was the birth of a new philosophy, that the future of blockchain wasn't about replacing what came before, but about igniting it, taking dormant potential and turning it into fuel for the Internet of Value. And this was only the beginning. Because if FLR could give smart contracts to chains that never had them, the next question was even bigger. What if FLR could give blockchains access to the real world itself? Part 2. Smart contracts. Everywhere for years, the blockchain world was divided into two camps. On one side were the programmable chains like Ethereum, Solana, and Avalanche. Ecosystems filled with decentralized finance, NFT marketplaces, gaming platforms, and a growing universe of smart contract applications. On the other side were the payment and utility chains like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and XRP. Assets with speed, security, and liquidity, but little to no programmability. This divide created silos. Ethereum-based tokens had utility, but lacked adoption outside crypto-native circles. XRP had liquidity and institutional potential, but was cut off from DeFi. Dogecoin had cultural momentum but no programmable infrastructure. And Bitcoin, the king of crypto, remained a store of value rather than an active player in decentralized applications. FLR's vision was to erase this divide. Through its F-asset system, FLR allows non-smart contract tokens to be wrapped and brought onto its network with full programmability. Suddenly, assets that were once passive can come alive in decentralized ecosystems. XRP, LTC, Doge, and even BTC can interact with smart contracts as if they were native to Ethereum. This unlocks a wave of new possibilities. XRP and DeFi. Imagine using XRP not just as a bridge for banks, but as collateral in lending protocols, liquidity in automated market makers, or fuel for NFT marketplaces. With FLR, XRP gains the same programmability as Ethereum, turning it into a truly multi-use asset. Dogecoin beyond memes. For years, Doge was seen as a cultural phenomenon, a joke turned currency. With FLR, Dogecoin can become programmable, able to interact with DeFi protocols and NFTs, extending its relevance beyond payments and memes. Litecoin with DeFi access. LTC, one of the oldest and most secure chains, has struggled to keep up with newer networks. On FLR, it gains access to DeFi, stablecoin systems, and tokenized asset platforms. Bitcoin with smart contracts. While Bitcoin has resisted programmability by design, FLR offers a way to use BTC in decentralized systems without altering its base chain. This opens up new opportunities for the world's most valuable digital asset. The significance of this shift is enormous. For the first time, non-smart contract chains can directly compete with programmable ecosystems like Ethereum. Their communities no longer need to migrate or abandon their favorite assets to access DeFi or NFTs. Instead, they can stay loyal to their coins while benefiting from programmability on FLR. For XRP holders, this is especially transformative. Ripple had positioned XRP as a cross-border settlement tool, but without smart contracts, it was often dismissed as one-dimensional. FLR changes that narrative. With programmability, XRP can power lending platforms, insurance protocols, decentralized exchanges, and tokenization projects. It's not just the bridge currency anymore. It's programmable money. This programmability also strengthens XRP's institutional case. Banks and enterprises looking to integrate XRP into payments can now also access DeFi-style features built around it. Liquidity pools, automated settlement systems, and programmable finance become possible, all while XRP maintains its efficiency as a settlement asset. The brilliance of FLR's approach is that it doesn't compete with these assets, it empowers them. Instead of building yet another isolated smart contract chain, FLR brings programmability to the assets that already dominate liquidity and adoption. It's not about replacing Ethereum or Solana. It's about unlocking the dormant potential in the networks people already use. Smart contracts everywhere. That's FLR's promise. To take the untapped liquidity of assets like XRP, LTC, DOGE, and BTC and inject them into the programmable economy. To unite the liquidity of non-programmable chains with the creativity of smart contract platforms. But programmability is only half the story. Because smart contracts, no matter how powerful, are useless without one critical ingredient: data. And that's where FLR's next innovation comes in, the state connector and its native oracle system. The tools that bring the real world onto the blockchain and turn smart contracts from code into living applications. Part 3. The state connector and oracles and smart contracts are only as powerful as the data they can access. Without information from the outside world, they are blind, trapped within the boundaries of their own blockchains. A lending protocol can't function if it doesn't know asset prices. An insurance contract can't trigger if it doesn't know when a flight is delayed. A betting market can't settle if it can't verify the outcome of an event. This is known as the oracle problem. Blockchains are secure, decentralized, and immutable, but they are closed systems. They don't naturally know what's happening outside their own networks. That's why oracles, third-party services that feed data into blockchains, became critical. Chainlink, Band Protocol, and others rose to fill this gap. But oracles themselves introduced a new risk. If one fails or is corrupted, the entire smart contract depending on it fails too. In a financial system worth trillions, that's unacceptable. FLR set out to solve this problem at its root. At the heart of FLR's design are two groundbreaking technologies: the state connector and the native time series oracle. Together, they redefine how blockchains interact with data, both from the outside world and from other chains. The state connector is FLR's way of verifying information from external sources, other blockchains, or even the internet, with high integrity. Instead of relying on a single oracle provider, the state connector uses a decentralized network of participants to reach consensus about whether a piece of information is true. Was a transaction confirmed on Bitcoin? Did a payment occur on Ethereum? The state connector can prove it and feed that verified truth into FLR's smart contracts. This makes FLR more than just a smart contract chain. It makes it a data layer for the entire blockchain ecosystem. With the state connector, FLR applications can trustlessly confirm events on other chains and integrate them into DeFi, gaming, insurance, and beyond. Imagine a DeFi protocol that can directly verify activity on XRP or Litecoin without needing a centralized bridge. FLR makes it possible. Then there's FLR's native time series oracle, FTSO. This system provides reliable price data for assets by aggregating information from a decentralized network of providers. Instead of trusting a single source for asset prices, FLR uses collective inputs weighted and verified to generate accurate and tamper-resistant data feeds. This ensures that DeFi protocols, stablecoins, and trading platforms on FLR have access to the data they need to function securely. Together, these innovations turn FLR into something more than just a bridge for non-smart contract chains. They make it a universal data highway. The state connector ensures that cross-chain and real-world events can be verified. The FTSO ensures that asset prices and time-based data are always accurate. With these tools, FLR doesn't just host smart contracts, it powers living contracts capable of responding to reality. This changes what's possible. Insurance contracts that automatically pay out when weather data confirms a storm. Supply chain contracts that verify delivery events before releasing funds. Betting markets that resolve instantly when official results are published. Even CBDCs or tokenized assets could integrate with FLR to use its data infrastructure, ensuring compliance and accurate settlement. FLR's Oracle architecture also strengthens security. By decentralizing data provision and verification, it eliminates single points of failure. The blockchain itself becomes the arbiter of truth, not an external provider. In a world where trillions of dollars will depend on smart contracts, this robustness isn't optional. It's essential. The brilliance of FLR lies in how these systems complement its original mission. The F-Asset system brings dormant tokens like XRP and DOGE into smart contracts. The state connector and FTSO bring in the data those contracts need to function. Together, they form a complete loop. Assets, contracts, and data all in one ecosystem. FLR is not just another chain. It's a new layer of infrastructure, designed to bridge assets and information across the decentralized world. And as more chains, institutions, and applications depend on data, FLR's role as the oracle of oracles, the connective tissue of truth, becomes even more critical. But FLR isn't stopping at technology. Its ecosystem is already expanding, with DeFi platforms, NFT projects, and tokenization initiatives building on its rails. The next phase of FLR's story is about adoption, how developers and institutions are beginning to use these tools to create real-world impact. Part 4, FLR's ecosystem of blockchain, is only as powerful as the ecosystem that grows on top of it. Bitcoin had its narrative of digital gold. Ethereum became the home of DeFi and NFTs. Solana captured gaming and high-speed applications. For FLR, the question was clear. Could it take its unique features, F-Assets, the state connector, and its Oracle system, and turn them into a thriving ecosystem of builders, businesses, and communities? The answer is already beginning to take shape. At its heart, FLR's ecosystem is about unlocking utility for dormant assets. XRP, Dogecoin, Litecoin, and even Bitcoin can now flow into decentralized applications through FLR's rails. That means liquidity, billions in previously untapped value, is now accessible for builders. Developers don't have to create a new currency to attract users. They can tap into the assets people already hold. This has fueled the rise of DeFi platforms on FLR. Decentralized exchanges, DEXs, allow wrapped assets like FXRP or FLTC to be traded, staked, and pooled. Lending protocols enable XRP holders to earn yield or borrow against their assets. Automated market makers provide liquidity that spans across multiple chains, powered by FLR's data feeds. For the first time, coins that once sat idle in wallets are becoming active in decentralized finance. But the vision goes beyond finance. FLR's combination of smart contracts and reliable data makes it a natural fit for NFTs and gaming. Imagine Dogecoin-themed NFT collections or games where Doge can be used as programmable in-game currency. Imagine supply chain NFTs tied to real-world delivery data verified by the state connector. On FLR, these aren't just concepts. They're being built. FLR is also positioning itself as a hub for tokenization. With the ability to represent real-world data and assets on-chain, FLR provides the rails for projects that want to tokenize everything from commodities to carbon credits. Developers can create tokens that represent real-world assets, with their authenticity verified through FLR's oracles. This opens doors for institutions exploring blockchain not as speculation, but as infrastructure for new markets. Partnerships are central to this growth. FLR has engaged with projects across the XRP ecosystem, ensuring that Ripple's vision of cross-border settlement can be extended into DeFi and programmability. At the same time, FLR has reached beyond XRP's orbit, inviting communities from Dogecoin, Litecoin, and even Bitcoin to expand their ecosystems. By doing so, FLR acts as a unifier, a network where diverse communities can find common ground in smart contracts and decentralized applications. The ecosystem is supported by the FLR Time Series Oracle, FTSO providers, who compete to deliver accurate data to the network. These providers form the backbone of DeFi on FLR, ensuring that prices, feeds, and triggers remain reliable. The incentive model encourages decentralization and accuracy, building trust in the system from the ground up. What makes FLR's ecosystem different is that it doesn't rely on hype to attract builders. It offers a functional advantage. Developers who want to integrate XRP into their dApps can do it natively on the XRP ledger, but they can on FLR. Communities that want to use Doge beyond memes can find real utility on FLR. Institutions that want trusted oracles for tokenization can build on FLR. FLR also recognizes the importance of cross-chain tools. By enabling interoperability with Ethereum Virtual Machine (EVM) smart contracts, FLR ensures that developers from Ethereum, Polygon, or Avalanche can deploy their applications on FLR without reinventing the wheel. This lowers the barrier to entry and accelerates ecosystem growth. Step by step, the FLR ecosystem is proving itself as more than a technical experiment. It is becoming a hub for communities that were left out of the smart contract revolution, a platform for tokenization, and a data-rich environment for building the next wave of decentralized applications. But the real question is, what's next? FLR has the technology. It has the ecosystem. Where does it go from here? The answer lies in its future vision, not just as another blockchain, but as the spark that lights up the Internet of Value. Part 5. The future of FLR. The world is moving toward a future where every asset, money, stocks, bonds, trade documents, commodities, even identity, will live on digital rails. Tokenization isn't a theory anymore. It's a certainty. But tokenization alone isn't enough. For a global digital economy to work, assets need programmability. They need reliable data, and they need to move seamlessly across chains. This is where FLR may prove to be one of the most important networks of them all. FLR's mission has never been to replace the giants. Bitcoin will remain digital gold. Ethereum will remain the pioneer of programmable finance. XRP will remain the bridge currency for banks. But FLR adds the missing spark, the layer that makes dormant assets useful and brings real-world data into the blockchain economy. Imagine a future where XRP doesn't just move money for banks, but powers decentralized finance protocols with lending, borrowing, and automated settlement. A future where Dogecoin isn't just a meme coin, but a programmable asset fueling games, NFTs, and decentralized communities. A future where Litecoin and Bitcoin can interact directly with DeFi without altering their base chains. That's the future FLR is building, and it goes further. With its state connector and time series oracle, FLR positions itself as a universal data layer for blockchain. In this future, smart contracts don't just execute code, they respond to reality. They can verify payments on other chains. They can pull in weather data for insurance contracts. They can track supply chains in real time. They can integrate financial market data to power tokenized securities. This is the future of programmable reality, where data and assets meet, where contracts are alive, where the blockchain is no longer just a ledger, but a living system of truth. For institutions, this matters. Banks exploring tokenized bonds, governments testing CBDCs, enterprises experimenting with supply chain tracking. All of them need accurate data and interoperable smart contracts. FLR offers both. It doesn't demand that they abandon their systems. It offers rails that extend them, giving dormant assets new life and making tokenization usable in practice. For communities, this is revolutionary. XRP holders long sidelined from DeFi now have access to the programmable economy. DOGE and LTC communities, often dismissed as relics or memes, can join the next wave of applications. Even Bitcoin can step into smart contracts through FLR without compromising its core identity. This is why FLR may be remembered not just as another blockchain, but as the ignition point for the Internet of Value, the spark that lit up assets, data, and connectivity all at once. Critics will say it's ambitious, they're right. But so was TCP/IP, which quietly unified the early Internet. So was SWIFT, which standardized global payments. Every great revolution needs its hidden infrastructure, the kind most people don't think about, but that everyone relies on. FLR has the chance to be that infrastructure for the programmable, tokenized future. The road ahead won't be easy. Adoption will take time. Competing narratives will fight for attention. But if the vision holds true, FLR won't need the spotlight. It will simply do what it was built to do. Unlock the potential of assets. Connect the data that powers them, and light the path for the Internet of Value. In the grand story of blockchain, XRP may be the bridge currency, Stellar the people's chain, XDC the trade engine, Quant the operating system, FLR may be the spark, the one that brings it all to life. The spark FLR was never about being another coin in the endless noise of crypto. It was built to ignite what others could not, to give life to dormant assets, to bring data onto the blockchain, and to make smart contracts usable in the real world. While XRP may bridge banks, Stellar may serve the people, XDC may digitize trade, and Quant may operate as the OS. FLR is the spark, the ignition point that lights them all up. Most people won't see it coming. They'll focus on price charts, hype cycles, and headlines. But the true story of FLR is in its architecture, its mission, and the role it will play in connecting assets and data across the Internet of Value. The future of finance won't be built by one blockchain. It will be built by many, connected, programmable, and fueled by truth. And FLR is the piece that makes it all work. Here at LTL Productions, we tell the stories that matter, the ones beneath the surface, the ones building the system you'll use every day without even knowing it. If you believe in this future, if you want to understand it before the rest of the world wakes up, this is your home. Subscribe to LTL Productions right now. Share this video with someone who still thinks crypto is just speculation. And join us as we uncover the hidden forces shaping the next financial revolution. This is LTL Productions. Don't just watch the spark. Understand the fire it ignites.